They found Ebuka on the street, barefoot, shirtless, and screaming that his own mother was a witch. People gathered, whispering, "Isn't that Mrs. Aze's first son? Aya, he's finally run mad." But nobody knew what he had seen. Ebuka was born in Opobi, Lagos, into a comfortable middle-class home. His parents adored him, especially his mother. She called him Kem, meaning mine. He was the first of 2 boys, 6 years older than his younger brother, Chuka. Though not the brightest student, Ebuka pushed through school with help from private tutors. His parents never gave up on him. They wanted the best for him and enrolled him in one of the top private secondary schools in Ikeja. Eventually, he gained admission to the University of Calabar to study economics. That was where his life began to change. Quietly, slowly, like a crack on a wall no one noticed. At university, Ebuka stayed reserved, until he met Emmanuel, a confident and funny guy who loved hip-hop. They bonded over music, freestyle sessions, and long conversations in the hostel. Emmanuel helped Ebuka open up. Life felt promising. Until one night, Ebuka saw something he was never meant to see. It happened around 2 a.m. He had stepped out to pee behind the hostel, when he saw 5 students, all in white. They were dancing in a circle, whispering things that didn't sound like any language he knew. One of them suddenly turned toward him. Their eyes were bloodshot. Ebuka fled. He never told anyone, not even his roommate. He buried it in his mind, tried to forget it. But during the holidays back home, it all returned. Images of the circle danced in his dreams. He began hallucinating. Once, while eating, he screamed because the palm oil on his plate looked like blood. He started avoiding anything red or white. Soon, he began to suspect that his family was in the same cult. When he overheard his mother praying at night, he believed she was invoking spirits. He ran out of the house barefoot, crying that they wanted to use him for sacrifice. Neighbors saw everything. Rumors spread. His parents managed to calm him down and took him to a psychiatrist. The drugs prescribed made him sleep endlessly. They also took him to prayer houses. But nothing stopped the fear. Only Emmanuel knew the full story, and even he didn't fully believe it. The whispers in the neighborhood were louder than ever. That boy's into cultism. No, it's drugs. The university life spoiled him. I heard he tried to attack his mother. But through it all, Ebuka's parents stood by him. His father took a month off work. His mother bathed him, fed him, and spoke softly to him like he was a baby again. Despite the rumors, they never gave up. After weeks of treatment and prayers, Ebuka seemed a bit better. His father rented him an apartment off campus to shield him from the noise and suspicion. He called Emmanuel, explained everything, and begged him to keep an eye on his son. Back in Calabar, Emmanuel remained loyal. He helped Ebuka with assignments and dragged him out for walks to clear his mind. One day, while sitting alone, Ebuka met Princess. She was beautiful, lived a few blocks away, and always greeted him with a smile. She asked questions, listened to him, and never judged him. Bit by bit, Ebuka found himself laughing again. He opened up to her, told her about the hallucinations, the fear, the rumors. Instead of running, she held his hand. For the first time in months, Ebuka believed healing was possible. Their love grew like wildfire. Princess was everything Ebuka didn't know he needed. Playful, understanding, and full of dreams. She introduced him to her favorite TV shows. He showed her his favorite hip-hop albums. He started writing again, lyrics, poems, and even short stories. His smile returned. Emmanuel noticed and often teased him, calling Princess our therapy. But love isn't always enough. One morning, Princess knocked on his door looking pale. She confessed that she had met someone, an Alhaji, a wealthy older man who promised her the world, including marriage. She was torn but felt she had to choose security over dreams. Ebuka stared at her, speechless. She kissed his forehead and whispered, "I'm sorry." Then she walked away. Ebuka cried that night like a wounded animal. Emmanuel rushed over when he heard the news. He sat by Ebuka for hours, saying nothing, just letting him weep. It was his first heartbreak, and it came with full force. His grades plummeted. He failed 2 core courses, but his parents, as always, stood by him. With their support and Emmanuel's encouragement, he rewrote the exams and finally graduated with a degree in economics. But inside, something had cracked again, and it wouldn't heal so easily this time. Victoria Island was nothing like Calabar. Ebuka arrived for his NYSC posting filled with hope. A fresh graduate, clean khakis, new dreams. But that hope faded quickly. Most of the other core members came from wealthy homes. They had cars, iPhones, and confidence. Ebuka had his second-hand phone, a basic wristwatch, an anxiety he couldn't shake off. He tried to make friends but was often ignored or laughed at subtly. One night at the Corpus Lodge, someone said loudly, "Why's that one always quiet? Looks like a village boy." The others laughed. He didn't. Even at work, he was treated like a ghost. The office secretary barely acknowledged his greetings. One colleague even lied against him, claiming Ebuka missed an important task. He didn't. But when he tried to defend himself, nobody cared. Things got worse when he met Moyo, a beautiful, soft-spoken corper who shared smiles and late-night talks with him. Just when he thought he found someone again, she ghosted him without explanation. Weeks later, he saw her in a G-Wagon with one of the top bosses. Another heartbreak. Another betrayal. Ebuka felt small again. This city was swallowing him, piece by piece. And there was no Emmanuel this time. After service, Ebuka thought things would get better. They didn't. He applied to over 30 jobs. Most times, there was no response. Other times, it ended at the interview stage. One HR rep even said, "You're not exactly what we're looking for. You don't seem sharp enough." Each rejection felt like a slap. Meanwhile, his younger brother, Chuka, got a scholarship to Canada to study software engineering. Friends he knew in school were getting tech jobs, buying cars, starting businesses. Even Emmanuel started his own clothing brand. Ebuka was stuck. One day, he went for a modeling gig. They told him to strip down to briefs. He hesitated, but they pressured him. After the photo shoot, they never paid him. Another time, a filmmaker asked him to act in a short skit. They filmed for hours, promised exposure. The video went viral, but his name was never mentioned. Exploited, invisible, broken. He sat alone in his room for days, lights off, fan humming slowly, thinking of everything he could have been. The walls felt like they were closing in. He refused food. Messages went unread. He started asking God, "Why me?" But one night, while watching YouTube randomly, something clicked. A new spark, a tiny one, but it was real. It started with a tutorial. A man explaining 3D animation using simple steps. Ebuka had never seen anything like it before. Motion graphics, lighting, sound design, everything fascinated him. He clicked another video, then another. He barely slept. It became his obsession. He borrowed his cousin's old laptop, slow and noisy, but enough. For weeks, he learned every night, slept during the day. His room was a mess, but his mind was finally focused. He posted his first clip on Instagram. No likes. Then another. Still nothing. But the third? A 3D loop of a burning city with Afrobeats in the background. It exploded. Within 24 hours, it hit 11,000 views. A Nigerian artist reposted it. People started following him. Who is this guy? Insane work, bro. Need someone like you on my team. He didn't believe it at first. Then came a message from an American media company. They loved his style, wanted to work with him remotely, starting with a paid test project. He stared at the message, shaking. Was this real? He called his father. There was silence on the other end. Then, softly, his father said, "It is not how soon, Ebuka, but how well." Ebuka cried after that call. Not out of sadness, but something deeper, relief. For years, he carried shame, failure, rejection, betrayal. He wore them like a second skin. But now, just maybe, things were changing. The remote job paid better than anything he'd ever imagined. Dollars. Real money. He helped his parents renovate the house, bought his mother a freezer, paid Chuka's tuition balance in Canada. But not everything was rosy. Some old neighbors still avoided him. Some thought the breakthrough was spiritual. He must have joined Yahoo. Is it not that mad boy from before? He ignored them. But late at night, memories returned. Princess's betrayal, the boys in white, hallucinations, and being labeled mad. Sometimes, he still couldn't look at white or red colors too long. The trauma didn't disappear. He just learned to live around it. His father sat him down one morning. "Son, you fought battles nobody sees. But I see you. Your mother sees you. We are proud of you." Ebuka nodded, holding back tears. That evening, Emmanuel called. They laughed like old times. Life felt full again. But the biggest twist was coming. And it would shake everything he thought he knew about himself, his family, and his past. The email came on a Monday morning. It was from a private mental health foundation in the UK. They had seen one of Ebuka's animated clips on trauma recovery. It struck a chord. They wanted to interview him for a documentary on creative minds who beat mental illness. Ebuka froze. He wasn't sure he was ready to talk, to relive it. But something inside him whispered, "Tell your story." During the interview, he spoke about everything. The hallucinations, the fear, running out of the house, being misunderstood, the pain of being treated like a problem, the betrayal of Princess, the loneliness. When the video aired, it went viral. Thousands commented, "My brother is going through this. Thank you for sharing. I thought I was alone. You are a warrior." But the most shocking message came from an anonymous Instagram account. "You were never hallucinating. They exist. I was one of the boys in white that night. Forgive me." Ebuka's hands trembled. He read the message again. Was this real? He showed Emmanuel. They tracked the IP address and traced the message to someone who had dropped out of Unical a year after that night. Ebuka finally knew the truth. He had seen something real. He wasn't crazy. That revelation reopened old wounds. Ebuka sat with his mother in the kitchen, watching her stir soup. The question burned in his throat. "Mum, that night I ran from the house. Did you think I was crazy?" She stopped stirring, looked at him with glassy eyes. "I was scared, Ebuka. Not of you, but for you." He swallowed hard. "Why didn't you believe me?" "We did, but we didn't understand. All we knew was our son was breaking in front of us, and we didn't know how to fix it." She turned off the gas, took his hand. "I prayed every night. I asked God to give you peace. I would have traded my life for yours if it meant you'd be okay." He broke down. That night, he didn't sleep. He replayed every moment from university, every face, every insult, every prayer. He wasn't hallucinating, but something still haunted him. Why him? Why was he the one who saw it? Why did it break his mind? He emailed the person who had messaged him, asking to meet. No reply. He started to dream again, of red eyes, of cult circles, of Princess crying. But this time, he wasn't afraid. He wanted answers. The reply came 3 weeks later. The sender agreed to meet at a quiet restaurant in Calabar. Ebuka flew down with shaky hands and Emmanuel by his side. When they arrived, a lanky young man in his late 20s approached. Head low, hoodie on, nervous. His name was Yi. "I was part of it," he confessed. "That night, we weren't supposed to be seen. We were being initiated into a fraternity that uses ancient chants. It's not black magic. It's just spiritualism." Ebuka stared at him, confused. "But why did I hallucinate? Why did I almost lose my mind?" Yi looked away. "One of us noticed you. He said you had a gift." That some people are sensitive to spiritual energy. They called you the Eye. You weren't meant to see, because if you did, you'd remember too much. Ebuka's chest tightened. Too much of what? He asked. Ifanyi shook his head. I don't know. I left soon after. But they said, if you survived it, you'd either lose your mind or unlock something. Ebuka staggered to the bathroom and vomited. Was this why everything in his life had been so difficult? Was he cursed or chosen? Back in Lagos, Ebuka spiraled again. He stopped animating, stopped replying messages. His room grew dark again, both literally and in his heart. His mother noticed. Don't go backward, Nkem, she whispered one morning, gently rubbing his back. He forced a smile. I'm tired, Mum. She pulled out an old photo album. There was a picture of young Ebuka dressed as a painter in primary school art day. You always wanted to create. Maybe the world tried to break you because it saw your power. That evening, Emmanuel showed up unannounced with packs of jollof and suya. Guy, eat. You can't let one creepy Calabar story shut down your whole destiny. They sat in silence for a while. Then Emmanuel added, maybe they were right. Maybe you are the Eye. So what? Use it. Don't let it use you. That night, Ebuka opened his laptop. He created something new. A 3D short film titled The Boy Who Saw Too Much. A story of madness, love, betrayal, and redemption. When he uploaded it, the internet broke again. People begged for a series. Producers reached out. But one comment stood out. I saw this boy once. He was running barefoot. I thought he was lost. Now I see he was just ahead of all of us. Within months, life took a sharp turn. Netflix reached out. They wanted a full animated series based on the boy who saw too much. They offered him a contract worth more than anything he had ever imagined. Ebuka was flown to Johannesburg for creative meetings. He stayed in a hotel room with gold-plated elevators and a view of the city skyline. He called his mother. Mummy, they're treating me like a king. She laughed, cried, and prayed simultaneously. But success came with pressure. Creative demands, timelines, expectations, and enemies. One of his former acting contacts claimed online that Ebuka had stolen his idea. Another bitter schoolmate posted, Unar day Halem now. I remember when he used to beg for transport in Calabar. Bloggers picked it up. Old rumors resurfaced. Was he really mentally stable? Was he once in a cult? Did he sell his soul? Ebuka shut off his phone. Then, his father called him. Son, I always told you, when your light shines, moths will come. But the light is still yours. Shine it anyway. Ebuka sat on his hotel bed that night, smiling. For once, the weight didn't crush him. It lifted him. Back in Nigeria, Ebuka decided to visit Opabi. The house looked smaller than he remembered, but the emotions were just as big. Neighbors watched him like a ghost. The same boy they whispered about, now on their screens. Marima Nkechi greeted him. Ow, big man. God has done it. Oh. I'm sorry for what I said then. We didn't know better. Ebuka smiled. Forgiveness didn't come easy, but he gave it freely. In his room, everything felt frozen in time. His old textbooks, hip-hop CDs, and a poem he once wrote about Princess, tucked into a drawer. He sighed and smiled. She was a ghost of a lesson now. Nothing more. That night, he walked to the nearby football field where he once cried alone. He lay down, staring at the stars. He whispered, thank you. Not to anyone specific. Just the universe. Maybe even to God. In that moment, he felt whole, not because life was perfect, but because he had made peace with his story. But the past wasn't done with him. The next morning, his brother Chukar called. Bro, I think I saw one of those white-robed guys at my campus. Ebuka's hand went cold. History was circling back. Ebuka's heart pounded. Chukar, listen carefully, he said over the phone. What exactly did you see? Chukar replied, It was last night. Some students were in the field, wearing white, moving in circles. They were chanting. I thought it was a prayer group until I heard something that didn't sound human. Ebuka's breath caught. Did they see you? I don't think so. I left immediately, Chuka answered, voice shaking. Ebuka knew he had a choice, to walk away and leave it buried like before, or confront the past head-on. He chose the latter. He booked the next available flight to his brother's university. Emmanuel begged him to reconsider, but Ebuka replied with something his father once said, if your shadow scares you, face it under the sun. At Chuka's campus, he disguised himself in a hoodie and jeans. He and Chuka scoped the area over the next few nights, but nothing happened. Until Friday. At midnight, the figures reappeared, this time in white and red robes. Chuka tried to run, but Ebuka held him. Don't. They feed on fear. They stood still in the darkness, watching. One of the robed figures turned toward them and smiled. It was Princess. Ebuka froze. Princess. The same girl who once whispered I love you into his ears. Now draped in white and red, her eyes glowing with eerie calmness. She walked toward them, her voice soft. You weren't supposed to remember, Ebuka. Chuka gripped his brother's arm, trembling. Princess continued, you were marked from birth. That's why you saw what others couldn't. You were always meant to return to this path. Ebuka stepped forward, anger rising. You betrayed me. You left me broken. No, she said. I tried to protect you, but you were chosen. Fighting it almost destroyed you. Accept it, and become what you were born to be. No, Ebuka said, his voice steady. I choose my own path. The figures behind her began chanting. The air thickened. Chuka fainted. Ebuka shouted, enough! And suddenly, everything stopped. The chanting, the breeze. Even Princess froze. Ebuka fell to his knees, vision swirling. He blacked out. When he woke up, it was morning. He was in his hotel room. Chuka was beside him, alive. No robes, no field, no princess. Had it all been a dream, or something deeper? But on his wrist was a red string he'd never worn before. Ebuka ripped the red string off his wrist and flung it across the room. Did someone come here last night? He asked the hotel manager. No one, the man replied. You came in alone, carried your brother. You looked disturbed. Ebuka began questioning his sanity again. Back in Lagos, he avoided sleep. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw princesses smile, heard the chants, and smelled burnt incense. Emmanuel noticed the change. You need rest, bro. Ebuka shook his head. No, I need answers. He reached out to Ifanyi again. This time, the man agreed to meet, under one condition, come alone. At a remote bar in Akwa Ibom, Ifanyi revealed everything. Princess had been born into a spiritual lineage, one that believed in the eyes, rare souls who could see between worlds. Her role had always been to watch Ebuka. She fell for you, man, Ifanyi said. That was never supposed to happen. What happened that night? Ebuka asked. She saved you, told them to erase your memory, but something in you resisted. Ebuka leaned back, shaken. So she loved him, and still betrayed him. He wasn't crazy. He was cussed. Or maybe, blessed. Weeks passed. Ebuka returned to his studio, more focused than ever. He poured everything into his next project, an animated feature titled The Eye and the Flame. It was raw, spiritual, and brutally honest. The internet exploded. Media houses called it a haunting masterpiece. Celebrities reposted it. Netflix signed it immediately. American film festivals nominated him. But beyond the success, something shifted within him. He finally understood. His pain wasn't random. His mind had not betrayed him. The shadows he ran from were real, and the journey was always about finding his light through them. One evening, as he stared at the sunset from his Lekki apartment balcony, his father joined him. I watched your film, his father said. I didn't understand it all, but I felt it deeply. Ebuka smiled. It's not about understanding, Dad. It's about feeling. His father nodded. Do you still hear them? Sometimes, Ebuka replied. But I don't fear them anymore. His father smiled, eyes soft. You turned your battle into beauty. That's a rare thing, son. That night, Ebuka slept like a child. No nightmares, no whispers, just peace. And for the first time in years, he dreamed of light. Chukar returned from school early. Bro, he said, everyone's been calling me the Eyes Brother. Ebuka laughed. You better trademark that. They shared a bowl of egusi soup in silence, bonded in a way only survivors can understand. Meanwhile, Princess remained a mystery. Her social media accounts had disappeared. No one had seen her. Ifeanyi suspected she'd left the country or something worse. Ebuka wanted closure but accepted that he might never get it. Some stories don't end with neat bows. He began mentoring young digital creators, many of them battling anxiety, depression, and creative blocks. He didn't just teach design. He gave them hope. At a TEDx event in Ghana, he shared his full story for the first time. From barefoot madness to global deals. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Backstage, a young woman approached him, eyes teary. My brother died because nobody believed him, she said. Thank you for speaking out. Ebuka hugged her tightly. This was his purpose. Not fame, not money, but healing, one story at a time. On his 30th birthday, Ebuka received a package. No note, just an old bracelet and a photograph of a younger princess, smiling beside a little boy who looked like Ebuka. He flipped the photo. On the back, it read, Before it all, before the pain, I always saw your light. P. He sat in silence for an hour, holding that photo. So many questions. No answers. But it didn't hurt like before. He walked to his parents' room. His father stood up and hugged him tightly. I'm proud of you, Ebuka. Not because of what you've achieved, but because you survived. Ebuka smiled. His father added, It is not how soon, but how well. Outside, the sky was darkening. Rain began to fall, gently, calmly. For years, he feared the colors red and white. Now, he stood outside, barefoot, in a white t-shirt, letting the rain soak him, cleansing him. He closed his eyes and whispered to the universe, I'm still here. And that was enough.